All right, guys. So where we left off last was right here. We had a website, and if we hovered over it, we could change the colors and things like that. One thing I wanted to change real quick was in our in our main CSS, we had this thing with list item hover. Well, we can also do this with list item active. Now watch what this trick does. I'm going to do that same box shadow, except for now I'm going to do -2 pixels and 1 pixel, and I'll do that same color black. Now watch what this is going to do. So now when I hover over them, they kind of like a little activate, right? But when I make them active, when I click on them, they indent, right? So you can have your list items like working buttons. So that's just like a little trick. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I don't like the look of this page with how these pictures are all dialed in there. So I'm going to change it so it looks a little bit better on that. Now I'm going to start with this line of code. So if you copy this, then basically what I'm saying is display block. So it'll be moving around a little bit. I'm going to give them a width of 40% and a margin on the left and right of 5%. So basically what that's going to do, if you can imagine the math in your head, 40% and 5 on each side would mean each picture will take up 50% of the page. So ideally, these things are going to go side by side. So I should have two pictures side by side. Did I save? All right, Control S and refresh. And there I am, right? So I have that kind of nice grid. That's fine and good for the main version of my website. But if I was to collapse this thing smaller and have a mobile version, I mean, it doesn't look terrible, but the pictures get pretty small pretty quick. So that's what we're going to be working on in this video is I have these pictures and I want to have a mobile version of the pictures and I want to have a desktop version. So instead of the 2x2, no matter how big or small the screen is, I want to kind of change that. So that is a 100% responsive task. So let's look inside of a responsive. This line of code is the key right here. Okay. So media screen and remember have all the spaces in here, right? Anything will mess with it, and you're just going to give yourself a lot of room, and then you're going to close it down. So anything in between here is going to affect websites that are smaller than 480 pixels. And to kind of check this, let's do something like this. Let's change our background to maybe, what is going on? Did I misspell something? Of course. You can't just do that. You obviously got to add that tag. Okay, so let's change our background of our site to navy, and watch what happens. Nothing really, until we hit that special point of 480 pixels, and you'll see it go pop to navy. We can add another one of these, like so, and we can change it to orange, and we have a background of 1000. Right? So we have an orange, and you'll notice that the orange overwrites, the orange is taking over the blue, right? So this is kind of a little trick of it, right? Because remember these things are cascading style sheets. So this is saying if it's smaller than 1000 pixels, have a background color of navy. So if it's 300 pixels, have a background color of navy. But then this thing comes around and says if it's smaller than 1000, which 300 is also, override it and have a background color of orange. So when you're doing this, if you want to have multiple versions, don't have, you have to have them in this order where you have, let me just move you down like this. You've got to have it where this is the middle size and then they get smaller and smaller. And watch just by flipping those two lines of code what happens. Now, I have my green version, I'll have my orange version, and then it'll change to my blue version. Just because these things overwrite each other from top to bottom. So let's focus in on our smallest version right here. I have the four little windows and the four little pictures, and I want to. Oh, hey Ruby, good morning. Hold on a second, let me just pause the video real quick. Let's start working on making our responsive, like our mobile page, look a little bit different, a little bit better. Okay, so we can do all sorts of things when we're doing this, and I kind of like having the three different backgrounds while you're editing. So you have like the green, which is controlled by the main CSS, and then you have the orange setting and the blue setting. That way, if you ever need to make a change, like if I want to change something in the orange setting, like if I want to change those list items in the nav, and I want to change their background to purple or whatever, if I wanted to, I could do that. So once it hit that orange one, I would have the purple, and I could change it so that once it got here, those anchor tags would have a color of white or something, right? But not until that point. You'll see that if changes that I made for the orange one will carry over until the blue one. Okay, but what I want to do is I want to mess around with these pictures, and I want to do that with the smallest setting. So what I want to do for the images is I want those to be larger. So let's do display block, and let's do a width of 80%. So if I want a width of 80%, that means that I'll have 20% of the page left over, so I could do a margin of 10% all the way around. And I'm going to break them so they all float left, like that. Now remember, it's between this curly Q bracket and this curly Q bracket, everything inside that. So if you mess up a curly Q bracket, like by putting an extra one there, you'd be in a world of hurt, right? Because this would stop right here and none of this would occur responsibly. So that's a common mistake that I see, right? Okay, so let's change that. And so now when I refresh it, once I hit that blue thing, see how they take up half the screen? When I hit that blue, hopefully they pop and they fill the entire screen. Please, 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 please. Yep, there they go. So instead of having them all side by side, we have them one by one. And I think that should do it.